Trying out this new microphone. You guys all hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. We were just chanting this phrase came to me, samsara is nirvana, meaning all the things that we think are wrong with us or wrong with our life or think of as suffering or pain are actually freedom in disguise, perhaps. Maybe not in disguise for some of us at some times. To be able to enter the actual experience, for instance, of a difficult feeling in the body, be it loneliness or anxiety, be it sadness or physical discomfort, to really be able to feel its raw texture is satisfying. Even to enter a thought. This is what I wanted to talk about tonight. I have written down here thought. How do we practice with thought? For most of us, when we sit down to meditate, usually there are a lot of thoughts. And sometimes that's the whole of our sit is just thinking and with a lot of attention to the thinking. I remember the first time I ever sat for meditation, I thought, oh, I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit and be present. And I sat down, and 15 minutes later, I woke up from a whole thought stream. One thought, next thought, next thought, next thought. Oh, here I am. And the whole day can just be like that. And if we watch, even when we're pretty present, there's also a thought commentary stream. And that's okay. That's how it is. So one way to practice with thought is not to do anything about it, actually. It's how it is to be human, to have thoughts, just like we have vision, just like we have hearing, just like we have sensation, we have thought. And it appears, and yet, and it's not a problem, right? There's a beautiful line in one of our Zen chants that says, you're sitting zazen, and even if 84,000 thoughts come and go, they will all display themselves as the luminosity of perfect knowing itself. If you do not hold to them and allow them to just go on their own way, not just like that car, it just goes by. There's no car. So this is a little an indicator of what the issue with thought is that a sense of, uh, you know, grasping, we call it. You can feel it in the whole system, in the subtle anxiety that accompanies thought, some thoughts more than others. And when we sit still and we really start watching the mind and the thoughts, we can see that there's a difference between thought happening like sounds, for instance, with awareness, and then getting what we call getting caught in thought, or getting, the Tibetans call it getting hooked. There's an energy, there's a complete sort of absorption that can happen. And we believe our thoughts. The interesting thing when you really reflect on thought is that it can never actually be true. Can never actually be true. For instance, if I think that altar is blue, I'm looking over here and I think that altar is blue, that's not the truth of the blue. Now, the truth of the blue can be actually experienced, right? But the thought that altar is blue, that's just like a conceptual map based in memory. They say, it's like this metaphor of the painting of water is not actually the water. Mm-hmm. So actually drinking a water, oh, you feel it go down. A painting of water, you'll never have that experience. And that's the same with thought. A thought is never the actual experience. So it can never be true. The thought, I suck. A lot of us have some version of that thought, right? I failed. They don't like me. I'm not doing well enough. Maybe we even had it this evening in our meditation. I'm not meditating well enough. I got caught in thought. I'm not enlightened. There's various versions that come with being a spiritual practitioner. I'm not present enough. But that's a thought. That's a belief, and that's not actually the reality of it. So our job as practitioners is to really discern the reality of it. So there's two ways I could go at this point. Maybe I'll try to make one point and then the other. So one way we can discern the reality of thought is to actually, instead of investigating the content of the thought, which is the other way we can go, and what is it actually referring to, and is it true, is investigate the actual thought itself. So, for example, we have the thoughts. Hogan used to always give, my teacher Hogan would always give this example, a pink elephant. Okay. Think of a pink elephant. And here you have the pink elephant. But actually, let's do something more interesting, which is like some version of the thought, um, I'm not doing good enough. Because this is a sticky thought. It could be something like, they don't like me, I'm failing, I'm not getting my to-do list done, uh, I'm not a good enough meditator, or whatever aspect of your life where you have the sense that it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient. Maybe even just the way your body feels, it's not sufficient, or the way it looks. And you have that thought, so find that thought, whatever that is. And what actually is that thought? Like, where is it? Where is that thought? We often think that thoughts are in our brain, but is it actually in the brain in your direct experience? Or is the thought like somewhere in the body, particularly if it's a difficult thought? Usually we can feel it in the body. It might be like a clenching in the stomach or the chest, or a tensing of the shoulders or the jaw, throat. So what actually is that thought? You could ask yourself, what is it made of? What is it made of? Sometimes when we really try to look at a thought, we find it just disappears. That perhaps it was just made of nothing, kind of ephemeral, like a sound. You can ask yourself if it has a texture or a weight. And where does the thought come from? You can do this with any thought. When a thought appears, where did it come from? Is it a certain place? Is it empty space? Is there a kind of openness that it emerges from? And then when it leaves, where does it go? Sometimes it seems like there's a constant stream of thoughts, and sometimes there is. It's like a very interesting practice to do while sitting is once you notice that the mind has just been completely absorbed in thought, is you stop and you say, okay, can I trace that thought back? Next thought, next thought, next thought, next thought. And sometimes, especially if you practice this a lot and you practice being present a lot, you can actually find the last moment you were present, meaning aware, meaning just aware here. What does it even mean to be present, huh? That distinction between presence and not presence, there's something there that's kind of mysterious because aren't we always present in another sense? Even when we're distracted, thinking, there's something that's aware of them. So sometimes it seems like there's just this unending stream of thought, but there's actually gaps. A practice that my teacher Chosen used to give us is see if you can find the space in between two thoughts and just expand it. She would also say we have to cultivate thought-free zones. This is another way of working with thought, is turning the attention away from the thought and towards the other senses. Thought-free zone. We can't make thoughts go away by thinking that they're wrong. This is another thought, or trying to push them away. There's a beautiful line in one of our chants that says, does it say? It's like, I can't remember exactly, but its point is the more that you resist thought, the more thought you have. The more activity you try to stop, it makes more activity, right? The activity of trying to stop produces more. Thanks, Julie. So the way to create thought-free zones is to turn the attention towards the other senses. For example, sound of the dog barking, sound of the door, sound of the car, um, of the fan over here, the feeling of the body, feeling of the breath, awareness of awareness. What is it that's hearing, that's receiving? This space of awareness, which is like the sky. It's really interesting when you start paying attention to all the senses that are usually covered up by thought. There's so much in this field of sensation, sound. You can hear the sound of the insects The sound of the car actually has many sounds. You can see how the sound feels in the body, right? The car is like, whoa. And then the body, the nervous system quiets down. And feel the touch of the earth. And not be attached is innately satisfying. This attachment the Buddha called dukkha, it's a sense of friction, a feeling of this is not quite being right, sense of needing to fix something, which a lot of our uh, repetitive and continual thought comes from. This sense of not being settled here and there. So we can also zone in on what that is. And turning the attention away from the thought towards the actual experience helps to relax that sense of attachment or grasping, sense of identification or me. Some people call it the me energy. I got it. I got it. I need it. I don't. I know. I don't need it. Sometimes when we're sitting, we can just feel that, oh, it's uncomfortable. And that's why it's hard to sit sometimes. It's hard because it's uncomfortable. And we're just trying to find some peace. It's important to sit with our discomfort. And it's also important to find some peace. So it shouldn't be all discomfort. We find something that we enjoy in sitting. The sound of the insects, the feeling of the breath, the quiet. Maybe we have a mantra like, this is enough. I am enough. So here's another way we can use thought to help direct ourselves to settling into the present. This is enough. I am beautiful. This is amazing. I mean, that any of this even exists. Kobun Roshi said, Zazen is something that we do when we're just like, wow, what's going on here? You just sit down. Just like, wow, that we can think, that we can hear, that we can see. The body, that there's bodies. And meanwhile, we get stuck in this little narrow story about me and my life and my suffering and my, and it's like this whole universe is made of stars. We're on this ball that's supposedly floating in infinite space. And that's the mind of infinite space that we have, we are endowed with, and that we can discover in our sitting practice. Wow. Just the mind and the heart, they are not limited to this little I mean my, they are vast. We say how vast the robe of liberation, the formless field of benefaction. It's infinite freedom, actually, that's manifesting as suffering and as joy and as everything. We can discover this as we keep looking honestly and questioning these thoughts, questioning these thoughts and these beliefs that keep us feeling like a limited, bound person. That is optional. That is optional. So we have to be careful when all that I've been saying, it's all concepts, it's all thoughts. And we can try to attach to any of it and say, oh, yes, the vast mind, that's it. You know, and we were trying to get to the vast mind and we're pushing everything else away. And again, we're in this world of suffering. And so, all Dharma teachings are hoping to point us towards just this letting go. And that, like this embodied acceptance of exactly this. Exactly this. It's always exactly this. It's not some idea about nirvana, idea about peace. I'm going to impose it on myself and make myself sit still. No, it's curiosity and interest in this. This is it. I welcome this, whatever it is. And Dharma teachings are just to try to free us from the tendency to try to make something happen. So that we can release into the pure, amazing life that this is. Just sitting here, just the sounds of the insects. Just the feeling of the heart, whether it be tight or loose. Breath, the touch of the clothing on the skin. And so practice is just about more and more this direct inquiry, feeling into, not pushing away thoughts. What are these thoughts? Are they true? I don't have a clock. I haven't. So no, I haven't. Mm. So if a thought is really sticky, which our core beliefs are, and we keep getting tangled up in them. Some core beliefs are, I'm inadequate, I'm failing, they don't like me, I need something, I need to do something. I don't know, are you thinking of any others? I know
Not doing it the right way.
I'm not doing it the right way. I'm gonna lose. So if we're not careful, these beliefs, they can sort of run our lives. So another way of working with thought is to really get them still. So, is there a pen around? Does anyone have a pen? Which one did you say, Kara?
Not doing it the right way.
I'm not doing it the right way. So you write it down. You just, because the mind's so tricky, it will just sort of slip off into something else. You say, okay, I'm going to work with this belief. This belief keeps coming up and it's causing suffering. And so we write it down so that we can focus on it. Just like we pick a meditation object, like the breath or like sound, so we can focus on it. It really helps. Then we're not just habitually thinking. And we ask ourselves, I love to do the work of Byron Katie. There's different ways you can work with thoughts, but her work, it goes through kind of all the different parts of how you can work with it. The first part is just questioning it. And you can do any one of these. Is it true? Is it actually true? I'm not doing it the right way. Is it actually true? Often we just ask that and we're like, oh my gosh, that's not even true. It's actually not even true. Then if you really think it's true, you can ask yourself the next one, which is, can I be absolutely certain that it's true? Usually the answer to that is no. But it could still be yes. I am absolutely certain. Okay, just yes or no. You're just really feeling into the belief there. And then the next one is, how do I react when I have that? What kind of life does that belief create? You can feel it in the body. It hurts. It hurts. You can notice all the other thoughts, like you might have images of people judging you. There might be images of things, whatever the thing is that you did in that moment that activated it. Sometimes if you get really still, you can, and really look at it, you even find like the first memories of childhood where somebody said, you're not doing that right. And you're, you know, oh, poor little babe. And and then the next question, you can sit with these and you could do just one. You don't have to do all of them, but you can. Um, the next one is, what is it like if I don't have that belief? What if I just looked up there and like the whole world opens up, like, whoa, I'm in a room with other people, and oh, look at his beautiful smile. And there's so much more here that those beliefs keep us from experiencing. You might find that the heart relaxes, that the body relaxes. And if you practice just letting the belief go and returning to simple presence, just that is so powerful. And you get better at it. Just dropping the thought, just dropping the story. So, Hogan Roshi, don't make any conclusions, just feel your hands. It's conclusions we make about ourselves. And then the final one is you turn it around. I'm not doing it right becomes I am doing it right. This is right. This is the way it should be, actually. Look at what a beautiful job I did. This talk, it was beautiful. Thank you.